The Cruis'n series is back on consoles for the first time in 14 years, and make that over 20 years since the original trilogy on the N64. Late last year, it was announced that Cruis'n Blast would be getting a Switch edition, so through a combination of nostalgia and curiosity, I really wanted to take a look at it. So let's see how it actually plays.
Ready, set,
Anyone watching this video probably knows a little bit about the Cruis'n series. These were arcade racing staples that could be found at any arcade in the 90s and 2000s. The former Video Game Power Midway would port a ton of these games over to Nintendo consoles before the company eventually went bankrupt. Well, because home video games became what they are today, the amount of developers making arcade-style games in 2021 is very, very small. There is no real need for a game to grasp your attention for 2 to 5 minute intervals so you can insert more quarters at the end. That market is dominated by mobile games, but even those are starting to become more of a slow burn these days. Regardless, Cruis'n Blast is here, and spoiler alert, it's a really fun time.
First place!
In terms of gameplay, Cruis'n Blast feels amazing. All 30 or so tracks feel like racing the equivalent of a roller coaster, with over-the-top set pieces as you boost and drift your way to the finish. It recreates that arcade feeling perfectly, which shouldn't be too much of a surprise, as the original version of this game was released to real arcades in 2017. These short, adrenaline-fueled, and completely over-the-top races are such a delight, and if you couldn't tell from the gameplay footage, promote pure fun over skill, where you always have a chance to come in first. That style might not be for everyone, even if you are coming over from traditional console arcade racing games like Burnout or Need for Speed, but Cruis'n Blast is another story entirely. The main longevity aspect to the game will come in the form of the Tour mode, which features 6 Grand Prix style races with 4 courses each, or local split screen, which is clearly what the game was made for. You can also play a quick race or time trial, but for the purpose of this review, I spent almost all my time with the Grand Prix mode, trying to unlock gold for all of them. You can also level up any vehicle in the game, and I use the term vehicle quite loosely since you can race as a dinosaur, but that gave me additional incentive to keep playing. There are also hidden keys scattered throughout the game, which is another aspect that might keep you coming back for longer play sessions. Cruis'n Blast is basically exactly what I expected it to be, well, with the exception of racing dinosaurs and unicorns, but honestly exceeded my expectations when it came to how much fun it is to play. However, the one major thing that holds it back is the complete lack of any online mode. A game like this does not need any sort of deep online experience, but a simple quick race to enjoy the game when you don't have people to play with on the same screen would have elevated it to some pretty awesome places. It ends up being the one thing that holds back my score upwards of 10 or even 15 or so points. Cruis'n Blast ends up being another tough game to review because it exists in its very own special arcade racing lane. You're either going to love it or will be asking, wait, is this all there is? In the end, it's exactly what it wants to be, a polished old school arcade racing game, but obviously if that's not what you're looking for and you want some modern gaming amenities, then you should really think long and hard if it's worth the price for your gaming habits. It's also a tough game to review because it's not really original, but it feels like it because no one really makes these kinds of games anymore. Ultimately, I liked Cruis'n Blast a lot, because it transports me to a time and place where arcade racing games were a mainstay, while also fine-tuning and polishing the gameplay that many of us grew up with.